Anyway, Dakota, why don't you tell us about this next fantastic project on deck?
Sure. I'm one of the other instructors here for this cohort of exemplary engineers. And the next project we have is Lightspeed, which is a fast-paced and immersive 3D game where you fly through space. Let's see it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dalton Saffe, and today I'm joined by Haiau Dong, Benjamin Wagner, and Jason Hang. And together we built Lightspeed, a 3D spaceflight shooter. Our goal was to see how far we could push graphics in the browser. The objective of the game is to fly through rings and shoot asteroids to gain points while avoiding collision with asteroids as they are dynamically generated in the vicinity of the rings. As the gameplay progresses, the difficulty level ramps up as more and more asteroids are generated, and the player has to fly faster and faster to get through the rings in time. We made our models in Blender and then rendered them to WebGL using Three.js. We then wrapped everything inside of React components that fire Redux actions to manage client-side game state. Our servers are built in a node runtime that implements sockets to manage game lifecycle events. We also use Sequelize as an ORM for our Postgres database. Now Haiau will delve into our development process.
Thanks. As Dalton had mentioned earlier, we use a tool called Blender, which is a 3D modeling program used to design your own custom textures and meshes. We've created a few from scratch, such as our compass model, which guides the player toward the direction of the current target ring, as well as our spaceship model. Three.js is great because it allows us to load in our 3D meshes as well as load our own from Blender. Some of these include asteroids, Earth, and of course our player model. We overlaid a heads-up display which gives the user visual feedback when certain actions occur. When a player gains points, it'll flash green, and when a player collides with asteroids, it'll flash red. Now Ben will introduce y'all to the core mechanics of our game.
Thanks, Haiau. Once we had a solid grasp on rendering in Three.js, we needed a way for the player to actually fly their ship. This was unexpectedly difficult because, unlike most game environments, zero gravity means there's no preferred up or down. Every game control library we found had a frame of reference that prevented the player from looking all the way up or all the way down. So we ended up modifying the standard Three.js mouse control library to enable 360-degree rotation in every direction. Because of Three.js deprecations, we had to build our own collision detection system to determine when users would fly through rings or get hit by asteroids. Using Redux as a middleman, we use Socket.io to communicate game lifecycle events between the client and the server. As we continued game development, performance became an issue as we rendered in more and more objects into the scene. To get around this, we built our own resource manager that would reuse and recycle previously rendered elements that were no longer in the scene. And now Jason will talk about game design.
Thank you, Ben. One of our biggest roadblocks was collision detection because collisions trigger all of our core game actions. But once we had a collision system in place, we were able to implement actual gameplay. Our entire mindset around game design really just revolved around microtransactions. I'm just kidding. We wanted to build a fun but challenging arcade-style space shooter that had high replayability value. We scaled ring distance, asteroid count, and points to increase the game difficulty the longer you play. For a fast gameplay experience, we adjusted the ship speed, environment size, and even increased the particle count to make it really feel like you're zipping through space. And our leaderboard lets you compete with friends, or even just best your own scores, for bragging rights of fastest pilot in 0 Gs. But enough talking about game development. Feel free to play the game yourself at lightspeed.space. We hope to see all of you on our leaderboard. Thank you.
All right, David is busy playing Lightspeed.
I'm actually wow, it is. I have to say that was. I have not seen that many 3D games in the history of full stack. That was impressive. It looks great. It performs well, and I love that they were able to use React and Redux to, really track game state in a centralized way. It shows to me like a pretty deep understanding of what tools to use at the right time at the same time. And then I don't think I've seen any Blender 3D models being made here. So a lot of diverse skills all combined. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to admit, I just play it every now and then because it's really addictive. It's one of those very simple game mechanics that just really just keeps on giving. And
Sorry, what did you say? I'm just kidding.
He's just playing it right here the whole time. Yeah,
it works really well.
You're making me nervous, David.
So yeah, but the obstacles that they had to overcome. The collision, that's very difficult. But then, you know, the controls are harder than you might think, because it's like, oh, well, you know, I just wait for the key press. But now I have to change coordinates in a system that's not preferred. And it was a long time before they got that. And they got it, and it plays so smoothly.
I feel like that Star Commander project should reach out to these people. They actually have shipped something similar to.
Yeah. Not to mention how they customized the WebGL library for their own custom controls. I mean, that really speaks to, I think, the level of developers we're proud to produce here at Full Stack.
Yeah, so if you like that project, be sure to vote for it on Facebook so they can get your love that way.
Yeah, and maybe an Amazon gift card.